This is third grade math. We are going to be doing a lesson on introduction and review of bar graphs and double bar graphs. Okay? All right. Yesterday, well actually Monday, we started talking about data. Who can give me a synonym for data? One word that means data. Hunter?
Information.
Information, yes. Have that embedded into your brain. And we also took a survey. Who can explain to me what a survey is? Jonah? Ask a question to get information, right? And what surveys have we done? Yesterday we did a pretty important one, and we kind of graphed it. What was the question I asked, Trey?
Which one likes pizza better, or nachos, or brunch?
Okay, so what was the big question though? What was your favorite school lunch? Okay, and what did we find out? Nathan, you remember?
Nachos is poppers school lunch.
In this class, nachos was the most popular. What was the least popular? Ellie?
Pizza.
Was it pizza?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Pizza was for our class. In the second class, it was not pizza. Okay. When we put our sticky notes up, what did that remind us of? Hannah?
Bar graphs.
It reminded us of a bar graph. You're right. And today we are actually going to do a quick review of bar graphs, and then we are going to learn something else about bar graphs. Okay. Okay, so a bar graph is a way to show your information. You've done bar graphs since third grade, right? Or since first grade?
Yeah.
You've made lots and lots of bar graphs, so this shouldn't be anything new. When you do bar graphs, it's very important that you have a title. What's the title of this bar graph? Colton.
What is your favorite season?
What is your favorite season? You also have to have labels, and this tells you that on this side, we're graphing the number of students, and down here is the seasons. Okay, so those are the labels. And then you have to have something called intervals. And the intervals are the scales that you put on your graph to measure how many students actually, or however many students answered the question in the different categories. So we have spring, summer, fall, winter. What can you tell me about this graph? Just looking at it. Give me an observation, Sophie.
Summer is their favorite season.
Summer is the most favorite. What is the least favorite? Wow, lots of hands today. Katie? Fall. And looks like winter is the second most favorite, and then spring. So how many students like winter the most? Can you tell from the graph? This is all pretty easy stuff. You did this last year in second grade. How many students like winter the most? Carmen, how could you tell? How did you know?
The numbers on the side of the scale over to the right, and if it says winter at the bottom, go up.
That's right. So she looked at the bar, and it went up, and it got to 4. Okay? What if 5 students liked winter the most? How would I be able to show that on the graph? Maddie? Just make it go up one more. Okay. Do you think if I asked the question in this class we would get the same results? No. Why not? Yeah, there would be different people like different seasons, right? We'll try that later. But let's take another look at one more graph here. This class, what was the question they asked? Who knows what the question was? Anybody? What was the survey question? Hannah?
Where do you like to play?
Who did they ask? Nathan.
Outside and inside?
They asked where do you like to play, outside and inside, but who did they ask this question to?
Third grade.
How could you tell? How do you know? How could you tell that it was a third grade class?
Says it on the top.
Absolutely, it says it on the top. So, what do you notice is different here about our intervals? What do you know is different here about the intervals? Let's see if we can do that. Not working. There. So if you look at the intervals here on this graph, and you look at the intervals on that graph, what do you notice? Why don't you put your heads together and talk at your table and see what you notice?
It's just I noticed that in the outside of the house, and the other one, us, 18, so we get it. Outside in the summer. For one of the first two left. Because you gotta look. See how there's a 20 on the one that says third grade class? See how there's 10? There's only 10 people in that class.
So, 0 now. Heard a couple of good discussions. Ellie, what did your table notice?
That the first chart goes to 0 to 10 and the second goes to 0 to 20.
Okay, so these intervals go from 0 to 10, and these ones go from 0 to 20. Did anybody notice anything different? Anything else? Curtis, what did you notice?
That I noticed that on 12 and 14 it said on 12 and 14 it said that they were it didn't say, but on 12 and 14 it was more it was bolder.
Okay, but what did you notice about the numbers on the sides here? That's what we were supposed to be focusing on. What did you notice? Carmen?
From the third grade class, from the third outside room, that one, the summer one goes up to 9.
Okay, but all I want to know, I want you to just focus on this, not the actual graph, just the intervals. Okay? You'd already made great observations, but that's what we're zeroing in on now. Trey, what'd you notice? What counts by twos?
The third grade class, and other one counts by 1, other one counts by 2.
Okay, how many of you noticed that? You just saw it now? Okay. All right, so Garrett, this one counts from 0 to 10, and this one goes from 0 to 20, but they're both about the same size, but this one, the intervals are going up by 2s. Why do you think that is? Anybody? Sophie, why do you think, or not Sophie, I'm sorry, Lily, why do you think?
I think it is because in that class it's 10, in the other class it's 20.
Okay. Why do you think they decided to count by 2s here, though?
Maybe they didn't have enough room.
Could be. They didn't have enough room, and did you think they maybe asked more people? Or they had different results? All right. Yes?
Because if you count by 1 all the way to 20, it might not fit on the paper.
Absolutely. You probably need a bigger paper. Yeah. Yes?
They would have 24 kids.
How did you figure that out?
Because, okay, they have 18, take away 2 from the semester, add 3 to 20, then you have 4 left.
Good thinking. Very good. Brayden, that amazed you, huh? I told you guys you'd become mental math wizards by the end of the year, didn't I? It's already happening, that math curse. Okay, so let's take a look here. This one says, now has 3 categories. Where do you like to read? And it's counting by 2. How many students like to read at home as their favorite place to read? Hunter?
8.5.
8.5 students? How can you have a half a student? I like why did you say 8.5?
Because it's right between the 8 and the 10.
It's between the 8 and the 10, right? But you can't have a half of a person, can you?
No.
So why, that was a great answer, but why, if you're talking about people, instead of saying 8.5, how many people like to read at home? Think about what's halfway between 8 and 10. 9, so it would be 9 students, right? Did you learn that in 2nd grade?
Yeah.
To look to do the halfway mark? How many people like to read at school? Sophie? 13, good. And what about at the library? Let's see. Sierra? 3. All right, not very many people like to read at the library, which surprises me. Oh well. All right, let's practice real fast. We're going to make a bar graph. Well, this is the favorite colors. How many students like red? This is a review. You know this, right?
Yeah.
How many students like red, Maddie? Okay, look at the interval. The interval's counting by 4s. Okay, you can't see it? You want to come up and take a look? That's okay. Sometimes it is blurry, but 5. Okay. And which color do the students like the least? Michael? Blue. And how many more? Oh, this is a tough question. How many more students like green than blue? How many more students liked green than blue? You have to do a couple of things in your head to get that answer. Jonah?
5.
How'd you figure that out, Jonah?
Because while that you were talking and they were answering the question, I was splitting. I saw those halves, so I kind of like put in my mind 1, 3, 9, 7, and all those in.
So you had the numbers. This was 3.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one?
That one was 8.
All right. Offline again.
And then I saw that, so I went up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I really paid attention to this more than right there.
To the intervals? Okay. All right. Did anybody just do subtraction in their head? Jonah used the intervals, which is awesome. And then some of you could have just done subtraction in your heads. Do you understand what he was doing though? Trey, what was he doing to get the answer?
He was taking 1 from the blue and the green, and he was having the 3 and the 2 up, and then he did 5.
Okay. All right, good. All right, so now we're going to try to make our own graph, but I think we're going to do sticky notes.
What's one I actually doing?
Well, we're going to do favorite fruit, apple, banana, orange, or strawberry. So you can write A, B, O, or S. A, B, C. So write A for apple, B for banana, O for orange, and
Take one and pass it, Lily. It's really sticky. All you have to do is put the mail on sticky. It's up. You guys know what we're doing?
Okay, have you recorded your favorite?
What's happening?
All right. Let's have the tables 5 and 6. Bring me your results. Tables 3 and 4. No. Tables 1 and 2. Oh well.
We have a tie.
Okay. I have everybody's. Take a look over here. Hannah. This looks a lot different than our lunch graph yesterday, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, everything is kind of, oh, we're almost even in a lot of them. So we have a three-way tie, don't we? Yeah. So what can you say about this graph? What can you say? Give me an observation. Summer? Bananas are the least popular, but just by one, right? What else can you say? Ellie? Yeah, strawberry, oranges, and apples are the most popular. Wow. I've never had this before. That's pretty awesome. You are going to, yes, Maddie? There was a three-way tie, yeah. That's pretty cool. And then remember yesterday when we did nachos and pizza and brunch? Yeah. The nachos was all the way up, right? It was almost all the way up to the edge of the counter. And then pizza was just really small, but this one is all pretty clustered right around here. It'd be kind of tough to write 3 observations about this graph, wouldn't it? Yeah. You could make 2 observations. But wow, okay. So if I were going to make a graph, here's my data. If I were going to make a graph, you would need a title. What would our title be? What could our title be? Sierra?
Miss Meisner's class.
Does that tell us what the graph is about? No. So what do you think would a better title be? Think of what the survey question was.
Feedback?
Oh. Okay, what was the question? Trey, do you have a better?
3rd grade fruit graph.
Okay. Think about what the question was. What was the survey question? What did I ask you to tell me?
What's your favorite food against banana, orange, apple, strawberries?
So, okay, so I asked you, what is your favorite fruit? Could that be our title of our graph? Yeah, usually the title has to tell us what the graph is about. Yeah, what is your favorite fruit? Okay. Then my categories were apples, bananas, oranges, and strawberries. And I would have to do it my intervals. Would it be best to count by ones or to count by twos up here? What do you think, Ellie? Look at our data. Do you think I have to count by twos? No, I don't. For this particular graph, I think it would be best just to count by ones, don't you? Curtis?
I think we should count by ones.
Think you should count by ones? Okay. I can actually see the smartboard kind of jiggling today, so I know it's going to be off again. I'm going to have to take a second to align it, but I think it's going to be, gotta love technology, right? Yeah, and it's just not working very good. So, we're not going to do that. We're going to shift to Plan B.
What's plan B?
Huh?
What's plan B?
I will show you what Plan B is.
That's plan
We'll go to the good old Elmo, right? Good old Elmo. And this is going to cause some there. Okay, so let me get some paper so we can do this. Why am I hearing all those pencils? No. Oh, we need this to go back over here because it's in, I can't see you. All right, so let's see. I'm going to take your pencil. Yes.
It's reached.
Oh, well. What? I know, I don't know what's going on, but maybe we'll have to go to Plan C.
Maybe because we have a range. What is plan C?
Plan C is to get you working on paper,
Yes.
all right? So, in your binders, I want you to take out, I believe it's page 7. Yes.
She said leave it in. She said leave it in. She said take it out.
Okay, so take a look at page 7. First of all, how is this bar graph different from what we've been looking at all day? What do you notice that's different? Sophie, what do you notice that's different? Nobody's writing on anything, you're just looking at this. How is this bar graph different from what we just looked at? Bars? Okay, it does, it has more bars. What else? Ellie?
It's counting by twos by the tens.
It's counting by twos?
20, 40, 60,
So it's, is it counting by twos or by 20s?
pretty much by 20s.
Okay, good. All right, but take a look at this here where it says walking and bicycle and car and bus. What do you notice here in walking? What do you notice? Leave it on your paper. Hannah?
For park school, it has more people that walk, and there's like 180
But how many bars are there under walking? How many bars do you see?
2.
2 bars, yes. This particular graph, Trey, is called a double bar graph. Curtis?
I can tell because it says on Lincoln School it says black, so the black stuff has to be Lincoln School, and then Park School has to be the blue stuff.
I'm done. You guys, that's awesome. Did you do this in second grade?
Oh, we've done this all the time.
You've done double bar graphs?
No.
No, I didn't think so. You're just so smart, you figure it out. Yes. Nathan?
I know this is
What is that called?
a math key.
It's called a map. Oh, you just learned that in social studies, didn't you?
Yes.
Miss Gresham's going to be so proud. This is called a key. Nathan called it a map key, but this isn't a map, but it's a graph key. And it tells you what the different colored bars stand for. And I think Hannah said that, or Curtis said that yours is black and mine is gray, but it's black and blue on your paper. They're comparing. A double bar graph compares 2 different things. So you're comparing the same question, but 2 different people that you asked. So they're comparing 2 different schools. They're comparing Park School and Lincoln School. So now I want you to talk at your table and see what you notice about how Park School and Lincoln School are the same maybe and different based on this data. Okay? So just take a couple minutes and talk at your table. Nobody's writing anything.
Park School.
Okay? Talk, put your heads together and talk about this graph. Talk to your people at your table. Okay? Talk. What do you guys notice about this graph? How are Park School and Lincoln School the same and how are they different?
This would be 180 kids.
Okay.
Count the blue and count the black. It climbs up. Okay, so
So how do you know what's different between Park School and Lincoln
it's like 100. This one is higher than this.
Okay. What else do you know?
Park School is higher than so you see it goes down.
Okay, but what else do you notice about the whole graph? Yeah, what about Lincoln School?
Lincoln's 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what are you guys noticing?
Lincoln 3.
I didn't see anybody chatting. No. So tell me, what happened? Think about Park and Lincoln School the same. How are they different? Okay, what else? Hannah, this is a conversation that you guys have to have with each other.
But he mixed it up.
Don't. When you're talking, you just talk. It doesn't have to be in turns. Okay? What do you notice? Okay. All right, so keep talking. Don't count, Hannah. But yeah, I don't care about the 300. I don't want any writing on your paper. I want to hear conversation. Okay, this is talk time. So Lily and Carmen, your head should be together with Jonah and Curtis, and you should be having a conversation about this. All right? Okay, so look at the graph and tell me how Park School and Lincoln School are the same and how they are different. All right?
Oh, they're different by one.
Look, I don't care about numbers, just look in general. There's lots of things going on the graph. Talk to each other. Curtis, you have some observations too, okay? Take about 1 more minute to wrap up your observations, but I want to see some math talk going on.
It's like, behind.
I'm not listening to that talk too.
Black is all grade.
What are the numbers? Okay, stop. Thank you. Now, one thing you have to realize, and this is the biggest difference between a double bar graph and a single bar graph when we talk about it, is that a double bar graph is comparing two different places. Like in this graph, you're comparing Park School with Lincoln School. All right? And when you have conversation about that, you're not saying things like, oh, there's 300 students altogether, or there's 180 students at Park School. You're just looking at general, you're looking at the bars, and you're seeing differences. So how, Lily and Carmen, it's listen time now. How are Park School and Lincoln School different? How are they different? What's one thing you notice that's different about Park School and Lincoln School? Braden.
The Lincoln School has 4 bars and Park School has 3.
What do you mean?
Park School doesn't use a bus. So
Thank you.
Lincoln School uses a bus, so they have 4.
So nobody at Park School rides the bus, right? That would be a big difference, and that's how you would say it if you were talking, having a math talk. You would say, nobody at Park School rides the bus. How else are Park School and Lincoln School different? Let's see. Jonah.
How they're different is because most of them walk
Most of them where? Which school?
at Parks, and then hardly any walk at Lincoln's.
Awesome. That's another big difference. Did you hear how he said that mathematically? Most students at Park School walk, and not as many at Lincoln. Great. Another good comparison. Let's see. Ellie.
There's more people driving to school at Lincoln School, and only 20 people at
Okay.
Park School drive.
She did that great math talk too. More people at Lincoln School get a ride to school than at Park School. Okay. Sophie.
More people at Park School ride their bicycle than Lincoln.
Okay. Does anybody ride the bus at Lincoln? What about at Park?
60 people ride in Lincoln School. 60 people ride their bikes to school.
Oh, bikes. I'm sorry. Yes. I thought you said bus. So yeah, another good observation. One more. Nathan.
Like when Park School could be a college school, and Lincoln School could be a
Why do you say that?
elementary school. Because a lot of the college in Miami walk and ride bikes, but they don't mostly use their cars.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, that's a great observation. That's a great thought. But both of these schools are elementary schools, just like Bogan and Marshall and Kramer. Now, I have to tell you something. Because then you're going to be thinking about this. When I used to teach at Kramer School, a lot of kids would walk, and at dismissal time, when we say kindergarten, first and second grade are dismissed, at Kramer they would say first, walkers are dismissed, so that the kids that walk to school would get dismissed first so they could walk home before the buses got in the roads. Why doesn't anybody walk to school at Marshall? Curtis?
It's really dangerous.
Yeah. We're on a highway. There's no sidewalks, there's no place to walk. There's also a lot of kids would ride their bikes to school at Kramer. Why doesn't anybody ride their bike to school at Marshall? Summer. Well, we have places to put bikes, but why wouldn't anybody ride their bike to school at Marshall? Maddie?
Because the streets from Marshall get real busy in the day.
Yeah, it's a highway, and most of you don't ride your bikes on a highway.
Oh.
I would hope not.
I ride it off road.
That's different, but not on Highway 27. Yes, yeah.
I know, like, they ride bikes, Kramer has it, there's a little small road, barely cars come through.
Yep, yeah. And there's neighborhoods, so there's sidewalks and there's houses real close. But at Bogan and at Marshall, there's no sidewalks. They're on a, yeah, yeah. And so if we were to do a graph between Bogan and Marshall and Kramer students, it would be similar to Lincoln School, where most of them would ride the bus. Okay? That was great. That didn't take you very long to figure that out at all. I'm so impressed. You guys, you just continue to amaze me. So, getting back to Lincoln and Park School, what can you say about Lincoln School? Where do you think Lincoln School is? And where do you think Park School is? Do you think Lincoln School is in a neighborhood or like on a highway or like you said in country? Bolton, what do you think? Look at your data for Lincoln School and Park School. What do you think? Probably highway or at least country, yeah? Why do you say that?
Because there's more people who ride on the bus and cars than bicycles and
Okay, most of the kids ride the bus. All right, and what about Park School? Where do you think Park School is? Sierra?
I think that it's like how you said at Kramer and stuff, they sometimes like walk to school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that still going on?
Yeah.
Well, how you said that, I think that they're like that where there's sidewalks and stuff and like around the road, like my brother, he goes to high school and they have that sidewalk everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what they have, and I think they have sidewalks to get to school. Because Park School, they have a lot of people that walk to school.
Yeah, and ride their bikes.
They have 180 kids that walk to school.
Excellent, excellent. And they don't have anybody riding the bus, probably because everybody lives real close to the school. Ellie, one more thing?
I probably think that only a lot of people walk and very little, only 40 people from Lincoln's walk to school.
Okay.
That's not very much. But, so
Okay.
I'm probably very sure that Lincoln School is probably more of a country and Parks is probably in a neighborhood
Okay.
like Kramer.
Okay, very good. So it'd be kind of like Kramer versus Marshall. If we were to do a graph, it would look similar, but they still do, there's still students that ride the bus at Kramer too, but just not as many.
Mine's on the way to
Yeah. Huh?
on the way.
Okay.
There's a little girl who goes there and she goes to Kramer.
What?
I have a question.
Okay.
If you walk to school, then you have to get up a little early because, like, maybe not if you live, like, real close, but...
You probably have to get up the same time. Yeah, because it's not very far. It's not like you're walking for 3 hours to get to school. Okay, usually only a 5 or 10 minute walk. Okay? All right. On this paper, on the back of this paper, on page 8, there are some questions that I want you to answer. Now, the first question says, look at the bar graph on page 7, and I'll put the bar graph up here also. You are to write 3 things you can tell from looking at this graph. When you do that, we just shared about 15 awesome things, okay? Don't tell me what just Park School does or what just Lincoln School does. Compare Park and Lincoln School, okay? Because that's what you do with the double bar graph. All right? 3 different observations about Park and Lincoln School. And then You're going to answer question number 4. How do most students at Park School get to school? And then how do you know that? And don't just say, looking at the graph. I looked at the graph. Okay? Tell me what the graph shows and what the graph tells you to help you get your answer. All right? All right, work quietly on your own and see what great observations you can come up with. Oh. No, it's, I already scanned it in. Yes, you may. No, just work with, Joan. Jonah, would you help work with Connie?
Yeah.
I know, I ripped that, I'm sorry, but I'll get some food. Instead of your dog ate your homework, you can say, my teacher ripped my paper. Because I did. Did you see me rip it? It wasn't very nice of me, was it? I know. There you go. How are we doing, Lily? Stop right now and make sure your name is on your paper so you don't owe me money. That's
Is
fine.
it okay if we put it on the
That's fine, as long as it's somewhere.
No big deal.
What are you confused about?
Okay, so what's another one?
Tell me something else. What else did you notice about Park School and Lincoln School? You wrote that? Walking? Tell me something about the bus.
Okay, and what's another thing?
So you can write that. That's something you can write. And then you can write something about either bicycle or car. Okay?
Okay, so if you're looking at it up there, what's the second thing you guys talked about?
If I were doing this, I would take each different category and write something about that. Like write something about walking, write something about riding in the car, or write something about the bicycle or the bus. Yeah. Because that would give you 3
And what's another way you
good
can say that?
observations.
Nobody writes the bus.
That's right. So that's the second one that you came up with.
P-E-O-P-L-E.
P-E-O. P-E-O-P-L-E.
Hmm? I know, you need to retire that pencil. I know. We need to go put that on our wall. Yeah, I know, those are the best. What? Yeah, I know, good. How we doing? You're all done? If you get all done, then you you can go ahead and answer the questions on page 9. But I want you to give a better answer than this. Okay? Why, how do you know that? I know the graph shows it, but how do you know? You can get some ice later. Don't scratch it. No, that's 9. Right now. It's like page 9, you actually have to do some thinking.
Okay, so what's the next thing that you notice? Well, you didn't answer the third one. You have to write a third observation.
Are you raising your hand or are you scratching? Yeah. Well, let me actually.
Okay, so if you were gonna look at the bar graph where the bicycle is, what would you say about that? That's right. So if you were gonna break the bar graph down into each category, what would you say? What was your first one?
Okay, I need you to stop and make sure your name is on your paper. And if you are in Miss Gresham's class, you may put your paper in the apple basket as you line up at level 0. That's okay. We'll get that tomorrow. If you were working on page 9, keep it in your binder. Okay,